It is 5:42, and I call this public hearing to order. Let the record reflect that we have a quorum here today. We have Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, Mr. Erasmo Lopez, and Coach Armando Cuellar, and myself, Mr. Nieto. Item number 3, public hearing on the optional flexible school day program. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this public hearing is for the optional flexible school day program. It's something that we implemented last semester and we felt was very successful for our students and our staff. We have Dr. Raul Cantu and Mrs. Norma Brewer here to present information on it. Welcome.
Yes. Good evening, members of the school board, Dr. Canales. We're here to talk to you a little bit about the optional flexible school day program. This is a program that we started several years ago. This will be our 8th year. We initiated this program, and at the beginning we started it only for high schools, and the program is for students that cannot attend school every day and that need, for high school students primarily, it's for students that cannot attend school every day and need a flexible schedule because they may be teenage parents or they may not be able to come to school every day because they work full time. So this program allows us to create a schedule for them that best meets their needs so that they can continue to come to school. We've also extended that program to include elementary and middle schools this past school year, and that's to help students with their attendance. Students that were struggling with attendance, we invited them to participate in this program, and the program helped them recover absences that they had in place. So it was a very, very strong program for our students, for our district. It's primarily for students that are on the verge of dropping out of school, there are students that have dropped out of school, or students that have been denied credit due to excessive absences. At high schools, we have to focus on the number of credits in order to promote the students from one grade level to the other. The program goals is, of course, to improve graduation rate, decrease the dropout rate, improve course credits, attendance, and promotion rates. So it's a great opportunity for our students, and we're asking for permission to continue on with this program for this coming school year.
So pretty much students are still going to be eligible for UIL. We are looking at them still taking the STAR assessments as regular students, but it's an alternate way of doing attendance. And we do have to have a public hearing on this before we can apply again. We did apply last year. We amended our program. Now we're seeking to get approval from the board early so that we can apply early and start off day one with this program. We are requesting 300 slots for each high school. We're looking at 100 slots for each middle school and 500 slots for each elementary school. I'm sorry, 50 slots for each elementary school. This past year, we were pretty successful. We ran it the second semester. We had about 600 high school students district-wide, about 230, 250 middle school students, and over 150 elementary school students. That represents roughly about 100 additional ADA full-time equivalencies. And when I was speaking to Andres, about $7,500 per each full-time equivalency, we're looking at $750,000 that were generated in addition. We did have some students that graduated that were part of the Flex program. We had 7 from Weslaco High School. Weslaco East had 44. South Palm Gardens had 11. There was 3 more from South Palm Gardens that I got data on, but I already had this program going. Are there any questions or comments?
On my left, Mr. Gonzalez. Any
No,
questions?
you answered my question with your ADA, what the program was able to do and how we were able to help, number one, the student, and then to the district.
We're still waiting for data to come in from the summer because students that were attending summer were also on this flex time.
Okay.
So we were able to recapture some instructional time in the summer, and that's something that we've never done as a district. It's going to take us about a month, more or less, to finalize all those numbers.
Okay.
But I feel very confident that we're going to see
Well,
another
I just
nice
want to commend y'all on the hard work that y'all have done and a great opportunity for the children.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Lopez.
Any questions?
Good job, guys. I mean, I know that, what year is this on this program?
This is year number 8,
Yeah.
but this is the second year we include middle and elementary students. In the past, we only included high school students.
Good.
It will generate funds, but most importantly, it's helping students that are at risk regain time, instructional time, so that they can be successful.
Good, good, good. I mean, that's a great thing when you can, I mean, we have to continue to work hard to get our kids back and to keep them motivated, keep them involved in school, because once they're out and we lose them, it's hard to get them back. So, good thing.
Coach Cuellar?
No, thanks for the outstanding work you do with them, and, you know, we need advocates to help all our students, so thank you very much.
And I know what you all do it for the high schools. What is it, enlighten me on, what do you do for the elementary and middle school?
With elementary and middle school, sir, it's really recapturing after-school minutes.
Okay,
So it's exactly the same thing. House Bill 5 says that if a student doesn't have 90% attendance, that they are not to get credit for the year.
Correct.
In high school, that translates period attendance.
Right.
In elementary and middle school, we still have to do that.
okay.
So
When the state shuts that door on us and they don't have 90%, this allows us to open a window to be able to help the students regain that lost credit by coming in after school to make up that extra time. This is different from what we've done in the past because now we can actually recapture that time and bill for it.
So we work very closely with our principals and our campus staff because they identify those students at elementary and middle school that have high numbers of absences, and those students are invited with, of course, parental permission to stay after school and recapture those minutes. So at the same time, we're allowing them more instructional time, and we're also generating funds for the district to help them with resources.
And so our graduation rate from this year, from last year to this year, did it increase with,
A little bit.
you don't have it yet? Okay,
We'll share those with you as
But
soon
more
as.
importantly, what's going to happen is that elementary school students and middle school students are going to start to learn better habits because there'll be a natural consequence. If they're missing school, they're going to have to make it up.
Correct.
So then, by the time they get to high school, we should see a lot more improvement in graduation rates and attendance rates.
all right.
We also want to recognize our principals and our counseling staff because they work very hard in helping us identify the students and helping us connect the dots.
Especially also in elementary school. We did piggyback off of the ACE program, so I want to give credit to the ACE program and Katie. That was the after-school program that the students were attending.
Correct.
As long as it was instructional, so that the ACE staff really came through also.
Any more comments?
Okay, well, that concludes our presentation.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Item number 4, public comments on the optional flexible school day program report. Dr. Canales, or anybody in the audience that would like to make a comment on our presentation or their presentation? Pardon? Yes.
No, there are no comments. Just Board of Trustees, the program for teaching our children that the natural consequence for not coming to school is you will have the instructional minutes so that you continue to learn because of what we all believe in the power of education for students now and well into the future.
Thank you. All right. Adjournment?
So moved.
All right, so it is 5:51, and we adjourn from the public hearing. Let the record reflect that Dr. Jaime came in at 5:50. Dr. Jaime, welcome. All right. Are we ready for the workshop? That way we can go into the workshop right away. Yes?
Yes.
All right. And for the workshop, we don't need a quorum, so Dr. Canales, 2019-2020 budget.
Okay, Board of Trustees, this is our second budget workshop for the 2019-2020 school year. Just a couple of reminders, the proposed 2019-2020 budget is in progress. We have received the preliminary 2019 net taxable property values from the Hidalgo County Appraisal District to estimate property tax collections. The values are $2,389,781,891. Mr. Sanchez, are you ready to continue?
Yes. Good evening. Mr. Nieto, Dr. Canales, members of the board, uh, the value that we received from the appraisal district in April, the preliminary values, are about almost $100,000 higher, $100 million higher than last year, what was approved last year, about 4.3%. The certified values for 2019 were supposed to be released on Thursday, and as of this afternoon, they were not released yet. So the final numbers on that we'll have hopefully at the next workshop, either next Monday or the following Monday after that. But they were supposed to be released and they weren't ready. The budget that we have help us to give the campuses a basic allocation on the ADA, based on the ADA for last year. That's on the fourth bullet there. All schools and departments, most of them, have entered the budget in alio. We're just waiting on the state and federal funds of the payroll so they can finalize their budget. Because we don't have the payroll, the non-payroll allocation hasn't been able to be provided to them. Once we have it done, we'll do it. We'll continue to work on the proposed revenues and expenditures as we continue with the budget process. As indicated before, the values, certified values were not received yet. Once we get it, we calculate the final tax collection that we estimate we'll have, and we'll finalize the budget in that respect. For staffing purposes, I have mentioned before, any vacancies that we need will be carefully analyzed by the Human Resources Department. So if we need to make any hirings, we'll do them. If we don't need to, even though we have it budgeted, we will hire staff. The next slide, number 3, shows the ADA for the last 4 years plus the next year. We've been decreasing on ADA, as you can see on the table. We lost about 240 from 15-16 to 16-17. Then we lost another 190 the following year. This last year we lost 80. So we budgeted 15,751 for next year, because that is the count that we had without the increases of the SASI program that we just approved for the coming year. Any extra ADA we get will be extra money that we have. But we were being conservative with the allocation of the ADA budget. I had mentioned before that the laws approved by the legislature were promoting in the taxpayer advocacy. They were trying to help taxpayers to pay less taxes, property taxes. So they compressed the tax rates for school districts so that the taxpayers pay less money. So on the M&O tax, for the current year, 18-19, our tax rate is $1.1397. For next year, our rate's going to be $1.487. So we're going to, with that amount, we're going to lose about $1.9 million in local revenues from taxes. Our INS tax will remain at 2 pennies, so that will generate about $1 million, same as last year. We have still the same. We have 4 sources of information that we're getting for our budget. TEA, we have Mo Casey Associates, Omar Garcia, who provides the state funding template, and the Equity Center. And we keep analyzing it as it arrives. We still have differences, but the budget is being done or prepared based on the most conservative one. Again, so we get more revenue, we'll have additional funds, but we don't want to over budget when we might not have the money at the end. And we calculated the budget, like I said, local and state revenues based on the preliminary property values. Once we get the certified numbers, we'll revise those numbers. The total expenditures, we don't have a final figure yet because we're waiting for the payroll to be approved. Once pay raises are done, we'll finalize the rest of the budget expenditures. The schools, the allocation we gave to the schools, for elementary school, we gave $120 per ADA, again, based on last year's ADA. Middle school, $135, and high school, $200.
Andres, how
Yes,
long
sir.
have those amounts been in place?
3 years, because when we started decreasing the ADA, we used to do them in enrollment, and when the schools had more students, whenever the school peak enrollment took place, I would give them the money based on the enrollment for that time, as opposed to the district peak enrollment. But since we started losing ADA, I changed it like that. And I have the note at the bottom, once we finalize everything, which hopefully within the next 2 weeks, we should be able to finalize our budget so that we can look at an increase in the allocation to the schools.
So you used to give them more money before?
Yeah, I'm looking at giving, yes, sir, yes.
So
About,
before it used to
$20
be
more.
on attendance, and now it's
It
on
wa-
eight?
It was based on enrollment, which is higher, and it
Okay.
was a higher amount as well.
But the 120, the 135, and the 200, how
Yes.
long has that been
It
in
was
place?
like- Well, those amounts that I have there, but the last 3 years.
Correct.
And the prior 4, we were doing it on enrollment. And it was about $15, $20 higher, each one.
And does that meet their needs for the school year?
Sometimes, for some, it does. Some schools need additional funds. But I work with the schools when they have contacted us. I have mentioned to the board last year that I set up some budget contingency accounts so that whenever they needed money, we run it through Dr. Canales. In the cabinet, they evaluated the needs, and we provided them additional funds for them if they needed something that the budget couldn't allocate.
And I think if we do increase the allocation, I think this probably would be a good year because of
Because of the
funds that
additional
we're gonna
funds we
have.
got,
So
we're getting.
hopefully, and that's one thing that I had asked at one of the board meetings, that if we could allocate a little bit more
Yes, sir.
per student, because it always helps each school. So, good points, Mr. Lopez.
Yep.
Okay, Andres, go ahead.
On health insurance, for the 2019-2020 year, based on the claim that we had through April, I haven't checked on any later claims. We expect it to be about $1.5 million short. So that caused us to evaluate the need to increase our funding for next year. So we're proposing an increase of 20% on the district contribution from $485 per employee per month to $582 per employee per month, and a 15% contribution for employee cost.
And this past year,
How much?
was
Go ahead,
the
sorry.
employee contribution this past year? 10%?
I have him here for, I have the district right here, and
Okay.
then the employee. The employee, we had it at $25,
Okay.
and so we're going 50% to $28.75. We have the low plan, high plan, and then on the next page, we have the state plan.
I want to say something on that.
Yes, sir.
And I think, Mike, you can help me with this. A lot of our employees seem to feel that we have a really good plan right now with Blue Cross, Blue Shield, and I can't disagree with them. I think that the district has a really good insurance right now. My concern is this, that our employees, yes, are paying $25 right now, and in reality, I wish they didn't have to pay anything. Yet the budget and the numbers and the dollars, they all add up, and the money has to come from somewhere. What I'm trying to say is that is 15% or $3 enough to where we can say we're going to be in good shape 3 years from now, 5 years from now? Or does everybody, including the district, need to pitch in a little bit more than the $3 per employee? That's my concern. I think we have a good plan, and then I don't want to come back 2 or 3 years from now and say, well, we can't afford it anymore. When we put a little bit more in right now from the employees,
Right.
that we will survive the increase in costs on the medical insurance, because it's not a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. It's something we got to have. So I want to make sure that what we're doing right now is going to be okay. Again, I would rather have our employees pay nothing, yet I don't think it's doable.
You're correct on that, unless we significantly increased our contributions to it. Of course, then that would have to come out of instruction or facilities or something else.
Yeah.
The item that's coming up, we're funding to what we anticipate it to be next year. So seeing on what kind of a plan year we have, it's also, a 50% is still a sticker shock to the employees, so we definitely take that into consideration.
You're saying 15%, but why don't you just say $3?
Well, because it's different, it's $3 for the employee only on the base plan, but if you have dependents on your plan, then that's significantly more. Me personally, I'm looking at it maybe like a $30, $35 increase per month.
$38?
Per month.
Like
And
you?
we're budgeting to
Well-
break even, correct? That's what we're
As of
shooting
right now,
for?
yes, we're funding actually a little lower, a little higher than anticipated cost, so we figured we were going to be about $20 million, so we're funding
Next
to
year.
expected. So
So-
if we go over significant, because there's also different factors like stop-loss insurance to take into consideration. So we may be getting funds back from stop-loss. But certainly if the board feels that they want to, increase the contributions, then, it's definitely within your
So
purview.
Mike, let me, I guess my 2 cents on this one is, since I've been on the board since 14, we've always had an issue with the insurance, whether, I'm not talking about the carrier, I'm just talking about budgeting
plan.
for the insurance. And again, when we look around locally to the other districts going on what Mo's saying, I think up here at the top, at the end of the day, we want what's best. But when you look at districts at our size or nearby districts that their employees are paying $60, $70, and here we're asking, a 15% increase, which on the employee only is only $3 and maybe $20, or if you currently pay $25 and it's going to go up to $35, it's a $10 difference. I still feel if you're thinking it's going to be $20 million, I don't think the $3, and it's unfortunate, and I go again to what Mo is saying, I wish we didn't have to do this, but we have other nearby districts that pay over $100 employee only, so that they can meet the needs of their employees and they can fall in within the budget. Because at the end of the day, I don't want you to come back and say, "Pues we're short again, another $2 million."
The other thing is that the insurance really is the district. Is that correct?
That's correct.
So if there's money left over at the end, it's not like, well, we made money. It stays in the pool, or what do you call it?
That's correct. Stays in the fund.
Stays in the fund, and then next year possibly we're able to, we have a fund, we can lower the rates. So the only thing I don't want you to have to stand up there in a year or 2 or 3 and say, well, we're gonna have to, we can't do this anymore. We're gonna have to go to a lesser brand of insurance, or a lesser coverage, because if we stay where we're at, it's not feasible, we can't afford it. And I'd rather prepare right now by saying, if it's a 25, bring it up to $40 a month. And that's, I'm just saying that I don't know what percent that is, but I feel that $40 a month is doable. It's an expense that we have to make.
I know
It's
we've
less
asked-
than 1 gas tank of fuel.
We've
So-
asked, and I've asked you in the past to have the slide. I know y'all send it in our updates, but do you have the slide where the other districts are paying? Just so that we can be transparent.
It's included in the agenda item. It's part of your packet, so I have it.
No, but do y'all have
Oh,
it
in
on your
this one?
slide?
No, not in this one.
Well, I think y'all need to add it, because people need to be aware of what others are paying in other districts of our size.
Mike, so we're budgeting for 20 million for this coming year, correct?
Next year.
That's the recommendation from Blue Cross.
It's based on Blue Cross's projected
Projected.
claims.
What did we end up with numbers-wise, or what are we projecting for this past school year?
We're looking at
claims.
Current school year.
as of April, it was $1.5 million, more or less, the
We
deficit.
were short, right?
And-
101.5.
We have a reserve right now, because last year we had a good year, about $1,350,000. So
Our
we'll be
claims
short
were
a
low.
couple of hundred.
We can't, we never know what our claims are gonna be, and this year
Correct.
we got stuck with some pretty
Now,
big ones.
if we go with a 15% this year,
Yeah.
next year, we can actually come back and say, you know what?
Increase
We
it
need to
again.
increase it the following year, or whatever, just like Mr.
I
Lopez was
just
saying.
didn't, I don't want it to be, if we do $3 this year, and then next year we're gonna say, hey, pues you gotta pay $20 more. I know we compare a little bit to Harlingen, but my niece is in Harlingen, and she has to pay $170 a month for her insurance. And they have a good insurance over there. That's employee only. And that's what I'm getting at, is we're asking our employees to pay, going up to almost $30 on the employee only. And again, we don't want them to pay more. However, we have to be realistic at the
We're
cost of
certainly-
insurance has always gone up.
We're
and up and up.
certainly, we'll take your input and your influence, because at the end of the
and,
day,
well,
you have to
along-
approve them.
Along those lines, I understand where everyone's going at, but we went from 9 to 25. That 15%, I think, right now is a good transition, because it keeps everybody there. And I think they're going to be able to enjoy a little bit of what they're going to have as a raise, because last year's raise did not pay for anything. All they did was pay for that increase in that little $25 insurance, so let's look at that very, very carefully. I mean, we need to do what we need to do, but if we can take care of our employees, that's what I want to make sure we do.
Yeah, of course, if Andres can find the money to where they don't have to pay anything, that'd be great.
I'm for that.
That'd be great, but it's,
But I
it's
don't
not
want to,
doable.
I don't want to be here in 2 or 3 years
Right.
and hear, well, we're gonna have to go, Acme Insurance or something
And
like
again,
that.
if, since we're self-funded, so any money that's not utilized at the end of this year, if we allocate 20 million and say we have $100,000 left, it goes back into our budget, correct?
So
It's in the reserve.
whether,
the reserve.
whether we have our current TPA or any other TPA, and Mr. Lopez is right, at the end of the day, we're the insurance company. They're
Right.
processing claims is
Right.
basically all they're doing. So, and I don't like to sound this way, but until when they invented cure for cancer or invented cure for diabetes,
Right.
we're going to be in this predicament because it just drives up medical costs. The only other option that we could look at is maybe negotiating contracts directly with facilities, what we used to. That's one option, or going to a reference-based pricing system, but we'll explore that for next year. I mean, we have to
Okay.
go out to bid for that.
All right. Any more questions? Continue. Wherever you all left off.
Insurance.
Insurance, okay?
Okay, I'm on slide 8, 9, page number doesn't show up. Yeah, this page is basically what I showed last time, July 1. These are the pay raises that we were presenting to the board. We have presenting option 1, option 2 with a number of breakdowns. Main thing, let me just say it again. The legislature, another one of the changes they made, they indicated that any gain the school districts receive using the formulas for next year, with the current formulas, any gain in state and local funds generated, 30% had to be used for pay raises, of which 75% had to be used for classroom teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, prioritizing the differentiated compensation for classroom teachers with more than 5 years of experience. And the remaining 25% of that amount could be used for compensation increases for full-time employees other than administrators, as determined by the district. So we presented last time option 1 that had 2 amounts, 3,500 and 3,800, with a breakdown of the number of days, 1 to 5 years of experience and 6 plus. And the board said, well, and we also told you option 2, which is 3,500, 3,600, 3,700, with the number of years that's shown here. And the counselors, we mentioned that we'll adjust their days because they work more days than the teachers. Paraprofessionals, 7%, and administrators, 3%. Then you told us to make some changes. So the next slide shows that we presented 4 groups, because you wanted to have 4 instead of just 3 or 2. And you wanted us to increase the difference between each group. So we have 3,400 now, 3,600, 38, and 4,000. For 1 to 5 years, 6 to 12, 13 to 19, and 20 plus years of experience. And I have the number of employees on each category here.
Mr. Sanchez?
Yes,
so
sir.
Is that years of experience, is that just for Weslaco ISD, or is that
No,
as a
total
teacher?
experience.
Overall?
Yes, yes, sir. Total experience that they have. And again, mentioned here that the counselor's compensation will be adjusted because the contracts are either 203, 207, to 212 days. We also have some CTE teachers who work additional days, more than the regular teachers, and their pay will be adjusted as well. For paraprofessionals, manual trades and technical trades, we have them listed at 7%. I want to mention a correction. Last time when I presented the number, I had left out the calculation for the bus drivers. I apologize for that, but they are reflected here this time. That doesn't mean we're not going to pay them. I just didn't calculate the number and the amount I gave you last time. So this time I'm showing it here. And then for administrators, I have presented 3%, and the board said to increase it to a calculated an amount of 4% for administrators. So the pay for teachers, counselors, librarians, and nurses will be almost $5,140,000, including benefits. Paraprofessional staff, manual trades, technical trades, and bus drivers will be $2,162,000, and administrators, $784,000. The total is $8,086,000. And this includes the amount that's mandated by the state and the local amounts. Any questions on that?
Yeah, well, I was asked a question about,
Yes, sir.
I see a lot of different titles and, categories.
Sure.
I was asked a question about Gear Up. Where does that fall into place?
Well,
The Gear Up
it
program.
depends. If there's, the counselors would fall with the same category as the counselors.
Okay.
If there's teachers there, same way.
Okay.
Yeah,
The-
the Gear Up are facilitors, they would count with
Oh,
the
facilitator, right.
professional.
They will-
Not-
they will fall
they're
under
non-teachers,
administrators.
non-counselors, they're facilitators, so they would fall with the administrators, it's my understanding.
Okay, all employees of the district, regardless whether they're local, state, or federal funded, will get the same pay raise.
Andres,
Yes, sir.
out of, and thank you for your work, but out of the pay raise, starting with 1 of 5, what comes out of House Bill 3?
Okay, let me, I have it here.
Or give me the breakdown of House Bill 3 on the 4 options and then what we're pulling out of the
Well,
general fund.
I don't have it by 4 options, I have them all together,
Okay,
but the pay for the teachers is $3,508,000, oh, $3,509,000,
I can't read that.
this amount here.
Okay.
It's on,
That includes benefits.
Board, this is in your packet on page 3 of 3 towards the end.
Here's the, next to the last page.
Okay, any questions on this particular area here?
And that is, this amount is the teachers, nurses, like I said, for paraprofessional staff, manual trades, technical trades, and bus drivers. Oops, misspelled here. It's $1,236,000. And those two amounts together equal $4,744,000. The requirement by the state at 30% is only $4,437,000. So we are about $306,000 more than we require. And the amount, the column in the middle is the local funds.
we're giving 306 more, you said? 306?
Yes, almost 307,000 more overall. More than the state required.
On the,
Yeah.
More than the state
yeah, more
required.
than the state
Right,
requirement,
yeah.
on House Bill 3, right?
Correct. The requirement is 4,437,857. And the amount calculated is 4,744,755.
Okay, thank you.
And here on the bottom, I put in the difference,
Yes, sir.
the amount for the teachers and the amount for the paraprofessional staff.
And Dr. Canales, correct me if I'm wrong, I believe that we had asked for the 4 categories, especially for the number of employees that have been loyal to Weslaco ISD. You know, if you look at 13 through 19, 377 employees, and then 20 years plus at 379. So we wanted to make sure that those have been loyal did get a little bit higher increase than your first through 5-year teachers.
Right.
And of course, that's an incentive, because if they stay here, then in the future, they will also get to that area. And then also for paraprofessionals, the 7%, as I was discussing with Dr. Canales, versus flat rate of 1,000 for paraprofessionals, this actually helps the paraprofessionals too, because 7% of the midpoint will be
Correct.
quite a bit for every paraprofessional.
Yeah.
And then, of course, administrators that work hard all the time, like Mr. Lopez said, correct? At the last meeting, getting a 4%, I don't believe, last year, I don't believe they got a 3%, correct?
No, we got
It's
750.
750, so I think it's 4% versus before they used to get 3%. 4% is doable.
The only question, Andres, that I
Yes, sir.
have, 7% as compared to 4%. If you've got somebody making $50,000,
Mhm.
then that's a $3,500 raise.
Yes, sir.
And if you have an administrator that's making 80, at 4, that's 3,200. In the past, I know that our administrators have been not shortchanged, but they've gotten less than paraprofessionals, and that's because we've tried to help our paraprofessionals have a better way of living. Yet now that everybody's getting a good chunk of the pie, I think we need to make sure that our administrators are taken care of. Because this is, whether this is going to happen next year or not, we don't know. And I feel that our administrators need to be taken care of. And maybe it's 4.5. I don't know what the number needs to be. But I think what fair is fair. I think that our administrators put in a lot of hours. a lot of hours. I know that everybody works hard here in the district, but administrators have a lot more responsibilities than anybody else. And that's the way I feel, Dr. Canales.
What did we do in the past? Was it 2%?
Say that again?
The previous raise for administrators?
Well, last year, everybody got $750.
But the previous,
It was 2%.
2%.
Yeah.
There
The
was
highest we had gotten, it was 3% in the past.
There was a couple of years that it was 3%, right, Mrs. Peterson? But never has it been 4%.
No. And now it's higher for everybody, including teachers, because we have an extra help from the state.
And it's understandable. I mean, the state is demanding a lot more from everybody,
Yes.
you know, so,
And they're expecting that with the
You know,
extra
so now it's,
funds,
here.
results.
yeah.
And I
So
did not write it
the-
down, but I need to make a comment.
For our Board of Trustees, the amount for every 1% for administration, the amount is about 180,000,
189,000.
about 189,000?
Yes,
Okay,
for 1%, yes.
every 1%
Yeah, the
increase for
increase.
administration.
Yeah, the pay raises that we have right now are for the year 1920. For the year 2021, we don't expect pay raises, but we expect to maintain the same pay, which will be higher than what we had before. Because next year, we're expected to get a little bit less money than the current year, depending on ADA and values and everything. But we should get the same, be able to afford the same pay for everybody.
189,000?
190.
For 1% is about 189,000.
I think it'd
If we were
be,
to go to 5%.
I think it would be $189,000 well spent if we would go to 5%.
You can, on our update, put what the figure would be for
Well,
5%?
If I may say, we have an agenda item at the meeting afterwards. So if you like, you can bring it up at the time if the board is inclined to make an approval tonight on the pay raises.
That's right.
Discussing what we present, and then you say decrease it or increase it, you can
Okay.
approve it with changes what we have at
Okay,
that time.
and right now, this is just a workshop, so, all right.
Right.
Continue, Andres, unless anybody
Yes,
has
sir.
any questions right now? No? All right, go ahead, Andres.
Okay. The timeline, like I mentioned, we have the approval of the pay raises in the board meeting after this. On Monday, August 5th, well, I'm looking at scheduling a third budget workshop. And on the 12th, before the regular board meeting, a fourth workshop if we need it. And then there's an agenda item also in the meeting today for the board to approve a date for the public hearing to discuss the budget and tax rate for next year. And I'll be looking at I'm recommending for the board to approve August 26th to give us time to prepare the rest of the budget and advertise it on the paper, work with the tax assessor collector to work out the numbers for the ad that have to go in the newspaper.
And that is the first day of school, right?
Sorry?
That is the first day of school, August the 26th.
Yes, oh, correct, 26 for day of school, true. Yeah, the next 3 pages is the number that I showed earlier. Then the last page is very small to see, it's hard to see there. But I'm gonna read it out.
Andres, did you cover the paraprofessional manual traits?
Yes, sir,
You did?
right here.
Okay,
It's 2,162,000,
but the next slide,
yeah,
that one,
aquí?
No.
Yeah,
No, go
I
back.
said that,
go back.
Right
Go
here.
back.
A little bit
it's
more.
$1,235,000, the total amount?
The
The
slide
breakdown.
number 11.
The breakdown,
Breakdown
There.
like
That
what?
one.
Oh, sorry,
yes, that
no.
one. So that
I
way,
apologize. I had it on my notes, and I said, oh, I already said that, I don't have to
Okay.
say anything
so
about
that
it.
way, we can
Yes.
see what the increase
you.
would be for the different paraprofessionals.
Yes, well, I guess the question you said, anybody has questions, I'm glad you asked them, because I forgot. Paraprofessional, manual trades, technical trade staff, including the bus drivers, the recommended pay raise is 7%, and we picked up the average, the high amount, and the low amount based on the midpoint for each one. And we have some of the amounts, for example, instructional aid, the average pay raise is $1,749. This is pretty much the same for all of them. Campus secretary, the average is $2,625. Data entry clerk, $2,119. Department secretary, $2,751. There are some higher, some lower. Maintenance department employees, $2,321. There's some higher amounts also there, $3,600. Custodial, $2,037 for the average. The highest is $2,800. Food service, $1,388 for the average. The higher amount is 2,800. For security guards, 2,500. The average, the high is 2,700. And bus drivers, the average amount is 1,900, and the high amount is 2,475.
Just remember that the difference also comes into play because instructional aides are only 187 versus a campus secretary that's 230 or 229 or 226.
Yes, sir.
That's why there's a difference there out of the 7%. That's why you see a little bit more in campus secretary making more than instructional aide because instructional aide only works 187 days versus a campus secretary that, I don't know, at the middle school and elementary, they're at 220. I'm not sure, but at the high school, they're at 230 or 226.
Yes.
The same thing with data entry. Some of those are in extended days. Department secretary, maintenance works, what, how many days?
200.
Year-round.
Year-round,
So
right.
that's why you see the average is going to be a little higher than your instructional aide because they are in a work calendar, an extended work calendar. All right, Andres, go ahead.
Yes, and then the last page is the summary of the whole amount. The overall budget in the general fund, which is local funds, the state funds, and the federal funds, which is the National School Lunch Program and Breakfast, is 187 million, the way we have the budget calculated. There's a lot of amounts empty, like here, the salaries. Since we don't have pay raises, we haven't calculated that. Once we have that set up, we'll post it in the system, and then we'll be able to generate the rest of the amount. We'll be able to give the schools and department the non-payroll amounts so they can budget it, and then we'll be able to finalize the budget. But it's 100, I know Dr. Rivera had asked last time how much money we were getting overall. So it's 187,035,000, the total amount we're going to get.
Comments, questions?
Thank you, Andres.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Kennedy?
No
Any
comments or
questions? All right, Dr. Jaime?
Nothing. Good.
All right. Coach Cuellar? Good? Mr. Lopez?
Good.
Right? All right. Y'all want a 5-minute break or we'll jump right into the board meeting? Because this is a workshop anyway.
I'm ready to go.
Ready to go? Good. All right, well, let's get going. All right, you ready? I'll call this regular board meeting to order. It is 6:25. Let the minutes reflect that a quorum of trustees are present and that this meeting has been duly called and the notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with Texas Open Meetings Act. Those trustees present and comprising the quorum are Mr. Patrick Kennedy, Dr. Jaime Rodriguez, Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, Mr. Erasmo Lopez, and Coach Armando Cuellar, and myself. Opening prayer, Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees invocation will be delivered this evening by Mr. Elias Trevino, Weslaco ISD Bilingual ESL Director. Mr. Trevino, welcome.
Thank you. Would you be so kind to bow your heads? Let's pray. Father, we thank you, Lord God, for this opportunity you've given us to be here today, Lord, in health and in the blessing of having work. We are just thankful for all that you give us. Lord, we continue to ask you to give us wisdom and understanding, Lord God, to be able to make the tough decisions, Lord God, the tough calls when it is necessary. Give us the wisdom, understanding to be able to face the pressures, Lord God, financial, social, academic pressures that come, Lord, with running this great district. Father, we ask you to continue to give us just that integrity, continue to give us, Lord God, that heart that is after you. Lord, that everything that we do, Lord God, that we may be faithful to your word, that everything that we do, whether it is in word or in action, that we must do it all for your glory and for your honor. We thank you, Lord, for allowing all the staff the staff that is here in the summer to return safely from their vacation time. We ask you, Lord, that your hand continue to be upon all our staff that is still enjoying their time and all of our students especially, Lord, that they will be able to return without any issues. We're going to be careful to give you all the glory and all the honor because it's not about us, it's all about you. In your precious name we ask all things. Amen.
Amen. Amen. Thank you. Item number 4, Pledge of Allegiance at Texas Pledge.
Our
Dr.
athletic
Canales.
director, Mr. Oscar Riojas, will deliver the pledge.
pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
honor
Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Item number 5, awards and recognition. Dr. Canales?
We have two this evening. Mr. Robledo will lead us through them. Welcome, sir.
Good afternoon, Board. Tonight, we want to congratulate the talented musicians and singers we have in our school district. Our band students won silver and gold medals in the 2019 UIL Texas State Solo and Ensemble Contest. From Weslaco East, the band, we had several silver medalists. Also, we had gold medalists. We also had ensemble gold medalists and a flute quartet, which was also recognized. The students are not here this evening because of prior commitments, but we would like to recognize our finance coordinator, Ron Bissett, and the band director for the Wildcat Regiment, Director Armando Cuellar. They can please stand and be recognized. The Weslaco Rotary Organization would like to make a special presentation, if I can please have, from Rotary District 5930, Ms. Elaine Hernandez come up here. And also, I would like to please have step up here, Food Services Director, Dora Peña.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Rotarians in Rotary District 5930, that represents 52 clubs in South Texas, recognize that about 30% of the children here in Hidalgo County are food insecure. And as a result, we have found that the role of the school districts in providing nutritious food fills that gap, that the families who are unable to provide enough nutrition to their own children. Rotarians at a hunger summit in May recognized Weslaco Independent School District and the Food and Nutrition Services for your commitment to end hunger in our communities and award you with the Inspirational Service Award. Thank you for your nutritious school breakfasts, school lunches, after-school meals and summer meal program that you offer the children here in the school districts. And congratulations. And the unsung heroes are really in your nutrition department, because good nutrition and as well as excellence in teaching leads to excellence in academic performance. So congratulations.
This is a big honor, and I will share it with every single food service employee that works very hard every year.
Congratulations.
That was just so well said. Thank you to you and the fellow Rotarians. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item number 6, public comments. Dr. Canales, we have one person signed up for public comments, and this is Mr. Jose Hernandez Jr. Oh, come on up.
As you can see, I'm a former student, class of '69, classmate right there.
Let me read a couple of comments first before you begin.
Okay,
Right?
sorry.
You are to address only matters that concern the school district. You are not to attack any district employee or board member. We will not tolerate any disruptive behavior by any member of the audience. If you do not abide, you will be directed to cease and leave the meeting.
Okay.
You have 10 minutes, and at this time, please read your name and your address.
Okay, my name is Jose Hernandez Jr. I live at 1414 Tanglewood Lane in Weslaco, Texas. I've lived there since 1993. If you're not familiar, that's Westgate Woods. We were the second house built in that subdivision back in 1993.
Thank you.
Southtown.
Thank you.
Anyway, I graduated from Weslaco in 1969. I came to Weslaco.
One thing. You're gonna have 10 minutes to do your presentation? and
Oh,
then
yes,
you can
yes, 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 oh, yes.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, it's
You may start.
it's off the cuff. I had some notes written down, but, because sometimes I tend to go off on tangents, but nah, that's all right.
Okay.
I'm just strictly by the rules, sir.
All right.
Anyway, and I retired in 2014, and I subbed for about a year and a half. And the reason I was here is the last class that I was involved with was the class that just graduated, in 2019. And some of the things I did with that class, we were published from Pan American when I retired in 2014. And I've given a copy to the superintendent, and Pablo Vallejo in the back got one also. And the reason it's here is because on the power of place-based education. That's where the charter schools first started, using the resources in the community and things like that. And I had planned something for the centennial, sort of like coordinated with the 50th reunion and the centennial of Weslaco, and I'd offered my services, and somewhat it didn't pan out. So I went off on my own thing, and right now I'm with the Resurrecting the Violence of the Rangers of Texas 100 years ago. There's an upcoming documentary coming up on PBS in October, and we have a very, very small part in that. But what reason I'm here is when I approached the chamber a few years back on the centennial, I did something for the university, and we got published, but some of the things that we did concerned the students that I had here at Weslaco East at the high school, and I made a few songs, and they're involved in this because it's their story. It's their story, and I had wanted to do this for the history of Weslaco, the centennial, and all that stuff. And hopefully, by me being public here and by telling the public, what I want, and basically giving back to the community. Because now I'm just a private citizen, but I still feel like a avid learner. I keep on learning all the time. And this is very beneficial to the students of Weslaco. And I don't want to get political, but with our president there, we know where he stands. And usually it's on top of us. And with that, basically, I'm closing. I'm open to questions and stuff like that, but this is basically what concerns me here.
Okay.
Can I read the title?
You can read the title.
Okay, it's in bilingual. It's from porciones to colonias, and de las colonias a las porciones de las colonias, like what happened. It's a history, and it was the National Endowment for the Humanities are the ones that published us. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Next item on the agenda, item number 7, Superintendent's Report. Dr. Canales.
Board Trustees, we have 2 reports. First is a STAR updates led by Mr. Aguilar and Mrs. Peterson, and then we have insurance.
Exciting.
So our ADAF Accountability STAR preliminary update has been calculated by staff. We do have some data files from the agency. Everything is preliminary. The final results do come out August 15th,
That is
I believe.
correct.
And so we're just going to let you know what we know now, where we think we're at. But of course, the final is August 15th, and it's the first year for campuses to get official ratings along with our district.
Thank you, Dr.
Second year
Canales.
for our district to get a rating.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Dr. Canales. Mr. Nieto, members of the board, Dr. Canales, thank you. We just have right here, it's just a one slide. It's a A through F accountability STAR preliminary update. Just to give you, we did receive some preliminary numbers a little over a week ago, but I do want to stress that it's preliminary because the state right now is working with districts just in case there was any errors, any submissions, any corrections that need to be done. This is a window that's taking place. That's why it's not open for public record at this time. And in about August 15th, as Dr. Canales mentioned, we should be receiving the accountability tables with rating labels and distinction designations. That's when it will be released, and that's when we'll be sharing all the information with the board. Also, we are anticipating Weslaco ISD to be a B+ district. In 2018, we did receive an 86. It was rounded off 85.6. around there, and in 2019, we're expecting an 88. As per preliminary data, we will have no C campuses for 2019 and possibly 4 A campuses based on our preliminary data. And if you recall,
Last year, we did have 4 C campuses, so that was great improvement. So we don't anticipate any this year. In 2019, each campus will receive an A through F letter grade rating for the first time. Last year, the districts were the only ones that received it. This year will be, all the campuses will be receiving it with their overall average. As per preliminary data, our focus will be on Domain 2, School Progress Part A, and Domain 3, Closing the Gaps. Those are some of the domains that we have already zoned in on based on some data reports that we have received. And also, TA has stressed, I know we were discussing the budget earlier, they have stressed that we need to be able to show that money does matter, and that when we're giving you money, we're able to increase student performance. So I do want to thank everyone that's been involved in this. I know it's been a lot of work, our principals, our campus staff, our CNI department. Everyone's been working along with our board, providing the support. Everyone's been working very hard to ensure that we have success for our students. And the key with this is growth, and we are seeing growth every year, and we're excited, to continue moving forward with that.
Comments? Right side? Comments over here on the left side?
Looks like good work so far.
Thank you.
Yeah, so far so good. Now, Domain 1, really, real quick. What is Domain 1? Some of them might not know what Domain 1 is.
Domain 1, Mr. Nieto, good question. That's student achievement. And to put it in a nutshell, they're looking at the performance level. So you go from did not meet to approaches to meets and masters. You get all those points, and you get an overall rating for Domain 1.
And the goal is 90,
And the-
90 at approaches, 60 at meets, and
30
30
at masters. That's
the expectation from the
recommendation,
state.
pretty much. And of course, you have the CCMR for the high schools as well, and the graduation rate. Everything goes into play with that as well.
And Domain 2, in a nutshell?
Domain 2 is school progress, okay, and it's broken down into 2 parts. You have academic growth, and then which is Part A, and relative performance, also known as your economically disadvantaged students. So it's broken down for the academic growth for both of them, that we're looking for the school progress.
And Domain 3?
It's closing the gaps. And when we're looking at closing the gaps, we look at 14, they have 14 student groups. Give you some examples of some of them. We have our economically disadvantaged, our ELs, or special ed, and of course, it ranges on there. We don't make all 14. On average, we have about 7 or 8 per district that we look at. And it's broken down into 4 indicators, where you have to look at the reading and the math to score at a meets or higher. And then you look at the academic growth. You also look at the graduation rate. You look at the TELPUS for the language proficiency. And then it also, the Domain 1 comes back into play. And then you also have your CCMR ratings included for the secondary as well, the high schools.
And these are federal targets, correct?
And these are federal targets.
A lot of times we think it's just the scores that the students receive, but it encompasses several things. And Domain 1 and 2 counts what % of the whole grade value?
So when you're looking at Domain 1, Domain 2, Part A, and Part B, when you take the highest out of those 3, it counts 70% of your overall score. And
closing the
Domain
gaps?
3 is 30% of your overall score.
And Domain 3, the federal targets can be a difference between an A and a B.
Domain 3 is a more complex one, and that's the one that tends to be most challenging for all school districts, for everyone. That's the one that we will continue working with, and everyone's done a wonderful job, really understanding it and working with their students, and it's just continue setting those goals that we're setting for our staff and our students.
And I guess at this time, Dr. Canales, I need to commend you and, of course, central office administrators and, of course, the principals. And, of course, the teachers for doing an outstanding job. If we don't have a C, that's outstanding,
Yes,
because we're progressing every year. And next year, we'll have a few more A's, just like we did when we had tax.
Yeah.
So kudos to you and the central office administration, and, of course, the principals and the teachers.
Thank you.
Any other comments, Mr. Lopez?
I want to reiterate what he just said. I mean, I know that you all have, how long has this accountability system been in place?
We started transitioning with this accountability system. It started off with indexes around 14, 15, roughly, Ms. Peterson?
Correct.
Somewhere around there. So this is the 3rd year that they're looking at it, because it's going to change every 5 years. And what I mean by change is the rigor and the expectations are going to keep growing.
Yeah.
So and this falls in pretty much with Domain 3 as far as targets that we have to hit. So we're going into year 3 by, after the 5th year, those targets are going to continue going up, which raise, the instructional rigor, the challenges associated with that. But everyone's working very hard. I commend our principals and our staff. They really work very hard, and they work hard with our students and our parents. And so do, our CNI. They work very hard. Everyone here is, overall student success. And that's what we're
And
here
I'd like
for.
to commend the team too. It wasn't even the second day back. Middle school and high school principals were already meeting with us, with Mrs. Peterson. Before the break, we were talking about the importance of purposeful planning for powerful results, strategic planning for strong performance. Met again with the secondary, the middle school and the high school principals. We saw them a lot last week. They're like, we're in it to win it. It's all about our children, and appreciate that spirit about our district board of trustees from you, from our principals, our teachers, staff, cabinet, just all of you. Remarkable. And we're going to continue to make a difference for our kids, because for us, it's not about us. It's about our students being successful now and well into the future. And we realize that we're educating children who are going to live to the late part of the century.
Comments on the left side?
Well, I didn't finish my part.
Go ahead, Mr. Morris.
What I wanted to say
Sorry.
was, man, I started and then it went around. But, I mean, I can attest to the hard work and the time that our principals and that Abel, I know, I mean, I've been out here late, and you guys aren't hanging out. Everybody's working. I mean, it's work. It's actually looking at the, reports and Abel, I know you work very, very hard, and I just want to say that I respect you for that, and Ms. Peterson also. I mean, you guys are here day in, day out, and in the trenches, and of course, our principals, it's I know, I can guarantee you that one that goes to sleep with the computer and working, and I'm pretty sure that the rest are probably about the same. The iTunes fund, that's all gone. It's all work now, so thank you all for all you do for our kids, and keep it up, man. You guys are great.
Coach Cuellar?
Thank you, Mr. Robles.
I agree, the results speak for themselves, and outstanding. Thank you for the work you do.
It's a complete team effort.
Mr.
including our
Gonzalez?
board.
Dr. Canales, again, congratulations to you and your staff. I think you've put together a great staff surrounding you. Since you've taken over, we've seen our scores and distinctions and everything that where we're accountable increase year after year. And so kudos to you, your staff, and all our principals. Congratulations on all the hard work, especially those campuses that came out of the sea and is not there no longer. And, kudos to all the hard work you guys put in. And so, again, congratulations.
Thank you.
Dr. Jaime?
Along the same lines here, congratulations, and love to see the progress that we're making, and we got to continue. It's now time to relax. Got to keep on working.
Mr.
Good job.
Kennedy?
I'm excited. Having a B+ is a great thing, but it also means we have room to grow.
Yes, sir.
And I see everyone's shaking their head, so it means there's lots of possibilities out there. So, great job.
And the whole team's taking on the challenge, so we're going to continue moving forward.
And it's harder to keep an A or keep a B
Oh, yes, sir.
than regressing.
Absolutely.
We were reading about that today, discussing that today in a book study that we're doing.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Unless any more comments? All right. Thank you. Insurance, Dr. Canales?
We have Mr. De La Rosa for insurance, and we'll be covering workers' comp along with our insurance, Blue Cross Blue Shield, and Araya.
Good
for
evening again,
PBM.
everybody. I'll go through this quickly since I know we'll be discussing it at length in upcoming agenda items. So I'm just going to I'll start off with the medical claims. Last year at this time, we're at $8.2 million. This year through June, we're actually at $9.3 million, and that's an increase of approximately $1.1 million. In prescription drugs, last year at this time through June, we're at $3.1 million. This year, we're at 3.7. $645,000 increase approximately. So in fixed costs, we're almost about even there. We're at $2.5 million for this year. It's a $58,000 increase. Totals last year is $13.8 million approximately. This year we're at 15.6 through June. We received about $441,000 in stop loss reimbursement, so we're actually right now at $15,187,206 and change. And for any questions on that before I move on?
How much more before you get the final number for the year? When does it end?
2 more months worth of data. So we'll have to go through July and August.
So how do you think you'll be?
Estimate about 18 million, more or less. And that info I have in another item, so.
Mike, can you expect more stop-loss reimbursement?
I just got a report today. Yes, I do, actually, so that number's going to increase. I just got a report today. I hadn't had a chance to evaluate it, but yes, we should see more reimbursements coming in. On the workers' comp, last year we had 101 claims total through June. This year we had 94. We paid a little over $79,000 last year versus this year $167,000. With an outstanding reserves for this year of $117,609.86, and total that we've incurred for this year is $285,000 versus last year. So even though we had more claims last year, we have incurred more, but that's due to some of the severity of the claims that we've had. So, but we're still looking very good on the work comp side.
Mike, didn't you used to have a safety guy that moved?
We used to. He became the transportation director.
Okay, but we didn't replace your safety?
No, it was not his.
Do you think that would help if you were to have somebody? I mean, I think we're 2,500 employees.
It certainly wouldn't hurt, but we've been doing well without one. I have a great staff that helps me a lot with that too. So.
All right.
Any other comments? Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Item number 8, consent agenda. Dr. Canales?
We do have one addendum to the consent agenda. It is
that the
Mr.
TPAS?
Martinez. We have a revised for the T-Pass.
Okay.
So that's item L.
Okay.
And then for, Mr. Martinez, help me out, where is it?
Item Q.
Item Q, we do have pages that we need to pull.
Yeah, item Q, I would like to pull page, it's a 269-page document, to not approve pages 25, 26, 27, 28. I want to keep that in our inventory.
Which is?
It's newer computers that we can still reuse and recycle in our district.
Do you need more time to go over the whole list?
Actually, I went through the whole list.
You're satisfied?
I got the list today, and I'm satisfied with those 4 pages.
How did they wind up on the list to get rid of, and now we're gonna keep them?
I need to talk to Mr. Peña. I haven't had time, but I caught it this afternoon, and I said, I need to pull those sheets.
We're not going to end up in a situation with, like another district that, and that
No, we're not.
personal
No.
information.
I'm
Okay.
gonna pull that item anyway to discuss it, because I like what they're doing, and I want the public to know what's
Okay.
going on.
Okay.
So, yeah, so those are the amendment, we have a revision to,
Item Q.
a revision to Q, pulling 25, pages 25, 26, 27, 28. And then you do have the revised version of L on the T-test. That includes our new principal of D. Garza as an appraiser, Mr. Robayoso, who's here in the audience, and Mr. Garlick as a second appraiser,
So
as
that's
our new Title I director.
That's the only change in the consent agenda. Okay. Any items we need to discuss? Mr. Kennedy?
No, sir.
Nope. Dr. Jaime?
Nope.
Mr. Lopez?
Item Q.
Item Q, okay. Coach Cuellar?
No.
I move to approve the consent agenda, including revised letter L, and of course, with the exception of item Q.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Mr. Kennedy to approve the consent agenda, except for Q and of course the revisions, correct?
That's correct.
All right. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. All right, let's go back to item number, or letter Q. Mr. Lopez, you had a discussion on that?
Yes, 2 things now. It was only gonna be 1, but now it's 2.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Carlos, how can we guarantee or ensure that some good stuff doesn't slip by like it almost did?
I will talk to Mr. Peña to make sure I get that list in time before it comes to the board. That's,
I mean, I know it was if it was on paper, it was about a booklet about that thick. You know, and it's troubling to know that, I don't know how many computers are on that page, or you're gonna discard, but I know that we were gonna get pennies on the $100 bills for what we paid for those items. I don't know if you can develop some double check to make sure that it doesn't happen, but I'll ask you to please try to do something like that. The other item, the discussion that I wanted to have is that I saw on an update of what you are doing with the hard drives to those computers, and I want the public to know how the district is making sure that we don't have the issues that have been going on neighboring cities with information getting out to the public. So Dr. Canales or Carlos, if you want to explain whoever.
Well, and we discussed this morning. I'll let Mr. Martinez explain what we do, and it's a procedure we put into place quite some time back.
yes.
Would you like to explain it, Mr. Martinez?
We have a process that any laptop, any desktop that's going to auction, we actually take the hard drives out. We literally drill holes right through the hard drives, so they're pretty much unusable after that. So there's no loss of data leaving our district.
So there's no possibility of any information getting
No possibility.
compromised.
And I work very close with warehouse staff to make sure that no computers leave without going through our process.
Well, that's good, and it's a great thing to see that our district is being proactive on something as sensitive as our information. So, that's all I had for item Q. That's the reason I wanted to pull it, because I wanted our public to know that your children's information and any information that district has will not get compromised by the sale of surplus equipment.
Okay. You have a motion?
I motion to approve item Q.
Do I have a second?
I think you need to accept pages 25 through 28.
And I accept the
Deletion.
pulling of the pages 25 through 28.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Mr. Kennedy to approve obsolete damaged personal property to be declared by surplus property and be sold and disposed accordingly, except to delete pages 25, 26, 27, and 28, correct? Any discussion? Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. President, I would also like to state that on some of these items that were for approval, there's a lot of interesting things like the T-test and Leader in Me that are getting approved, and I wish that, I know that time is of the essence, but I feel that I would like the public to be made aware of some of the items that we're purchasing for our students and to help our kids at school.
Good points. There's quite a lot of different programs there that
There's
we're
a
approving.
lot of programs.
Discussion items. Item A, first reading of policy update 113 from the Texas Association of School Boards. Dr. Canales.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. So, Board of Trustees, no action is required for the first reading of Policy Update 113 from the TASB, the Texas Association of School Boards. Update 113 focuses on amendments to the administrative code that have occurred since the last update. Recommended changes to local policies include the following topics: board member access to information, that's BBE; retention or employment of district attorneys, that's BDD; superintendent evaluation, that's BJCD; school property disposal, that's CI; food and nutrition management, that's CO, and COA, and COB; insurance and annuities management, that's CRB; special education, video audio monitoring, that's EHBAF; and student rights and responsibilities for investigations and searches, that's FNF. Mr. Garcia is here. If you have any questions, I know that this information has been provided in the board updates.
Yes, I have.
You have.
Good evening. Yes, I did send it to the board. in case they had any questions. Gentlemen, also, the cabinet did review their policies that pertain to their departments. In case any of you had any questions, we can answer your questions at this time.
Any questions?
There's 10 local policies, by the way.
You can give us a quick, short, mini synopsis of what all is going on if you want to, but a quick one.
Okay, on each one of the policies?
Yeah.
Sure. Pretty much, okay, the first one, the BBE local, which is on board member authority, talks about all the applicable information security controls that we need to have in case the board members want to, get in some type of information. We do have to advise you as staff members, we have to advise you of the certain security controls that we need to have because of FERPA and HIPAA and things like that. The other one, the next one, is the board internal organization, specifically on the attorney, that the board president or the board's designee, not just a superintendent, may obtain and report legal advice to the board. The next one is on the superintendent evaluation. And that one, besides other information, it's specifically the changes also clarify that although the evaluation of the superintendent typically happens in a closed meeting, the superintendent may request an open meeting. On the next one, the CI and the school district properties disposal, this policy authorizes the superintendent to declare district materials, equipment, and supplies to be unnecessary, and this includes district vehicles and other district personal property. On the CO, the food and nutrition, this has to do with authorizing the superintendent to develop regulations to donate or otherwise dispose of leftover food, such as implementing a sharing table or selling leftovers in accordance with law. And Dora Peña and I have been getting together and discussing what are some of the possibilities that pertain to this policy. For example, the sharing tables where students are able to take some of the leftover food home with them. But there's a lot of regulations that we need to make sure are in place so that we do not violate anything. So,
Was this in place this past year? Was this
the
particular-
sharing table?
Yes.
No.
No? Okay. Okay.
No, it is in the works still. We're just making sure we look at it very, very carefully.
Because some other districts had it last year, that's what I'm asking.
That
Okay.
is correct. The next one is also on food and nutrition management, specifically on procurement, and it assigns responsibility to the superintendent to oversee the use of federal child nutrition funds to procure goods and services as appropriate to develop and enforce financial management systems. And it also authorizes the superintendent to determine whether the district will apply a geographic preference when procuring unprocessed, locally grown, or raised agricultural products. So that's very interesting. So, the next one is also food and nutrition management, free and reduced price meals. And this one, I just want to focus in on the fact that the policy reflects the district's participation in the Community Eligibility Provision Meal Program, and the text also addresses student and parent appeals regarding the eligibility for free or reduced price meal programs. The insurance and annuities management, liability insurance at CRB. This policy addresses the various types of insurance the district will purchase. This one is recommended for deletion as these decisions are typically made during the budget process, and there is no requirement to reflect these decisions in board policy. The next one is very, very important. They're all important, but this one we are looking at it with a fine-tooth comb. The special education and the video audio monitoring. I have communicated with Mr. Neil Garza just to make sure that we look at this policy very, very carefully and that we come up with the appropriate checklist and forms so that we make sure that we cover everything that's expected. This policy on video and audio monitoring of special education classrooms are revised from administrative code. Some of these changes, for example, The clarification, the request for cameras to be installed the following year must be in writing. So let's say that a parent is interested or wants to have a camera installed in their child's classroom, and they know that the child is going to be in special ed the following year, they can request it the year before. Other information, as to, for example, the release of video recordings, the confidentiality, things like that. Then the last one is students' rights and responsibilities on investigation and searches. The officials may question a student about the student or another student's conduct, and the students may not refuse to answer questions based on the right not to incriminate themselves. The students also have to understand that they have no expectation of privacy in district property, and such property may be searched at any time without notice. Policy also explains when district officials may initiate a search and standard for conducting a reasonable suspicion search. And then the last thing is that TASB recommends that the details in this policy, that the details of the district's drug testing program be removed from board policy. I'm also working with Mr. Oscar Rioja on that one. Okay, it's very, very specific. Instead of having all the details that we have currently in that policy, eliminate that. It's not necessary we can have it in administrative procedures and just focus specifically on the details of the drug testing program. So that's pretty much in a nutshell for each one of the local policies for your consideration and approval.
So, it's for future approval.
Yeah.
It's just discussion right
On
now.
the second,
Any other comments or questions?
No comment. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Item 9B, interim,
Mr. Garcia.
what's that? Interim financial report for the 10 months ended June 30th, 2019.
Okay, this is a no action item. Mr. Sanchez, will you take us through this report?
Yes, Mr. Nieto, Canales, members of the board. For the general fund, for the 10 months ended June 30, 2019, our total budgeted revenues of $170,329,000. We have received $156,863,000, which represents 92%. And of the expenditures, of all the budgeted expenditures as amended through the meeting in June, of $177,229,000, we have expended or encumbered $136,191,000, which represents 76.84%. On function 34, which is transportation, we are up almost at 91% through June on the expenditures. We are getting close to the limit to exceeding that one, so I'm looking at having a budget amendment at the August 12 board meeting to increase a little bit. I had mentioned to the board before that we'll look at it in June to see how it was. We had on the report as of last week, and we were about 94%. So I'll look at it, and if we do need to bring it in, I'll bring it up in the meeting on August the 12th to increase that function. All the other ones are doing well.
Okay, thanks. Comments?
Andres, about 2 years ago, I know we cut the transportation budget, and last year you had to add to it. And
Yes, sir.
again, we're adding to it.
We added on the overtime. Yeah, we put in extra money this year.
And it still wasn't enough?
No. But one of the things, we put in some money, and then we said, we'll have repairs. If we don't need money because we have a new fleet, we use some of that money for overtime. But we ended up having to do some repairs anyway because of the buses that we kept, so we didn't have as much money as we anticipated.
Okay, well,
And I think one year you had to increase it because of when gas prices really increased. You had budgeted a certain amount of money for
Yeah, that was some time ago, yeah.
a couple of years ago. Okay. Any other comments? All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andres. Item 9C, acknowledgement of Hidalgo County Tax Office Collection Report for June 2019, current taxes and delinquent taxes. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this is another no action item, and Mr. Andres will walk us through this report as well.
Yes, for the tax collection received from the Hidalgo County Tax Office for June 30, 2019, for current taxes, we have collected $24,718,000, which represents 94.23% of the current levy. Last year, we had collected 94.31% of the same current levy. In total, it's 0.08% less than last year, which is pretty much the same collection. On delinquent taxes for the prior year's levies, we have collected $877,000, which represents 22.5%. Last year, at the same time in June, we had collected 25.98%, so we had 3.48% lower in the delinquent tax collections. On the budget, we had budget 91% for the current levy and 20% for the prior year. So we have exceeded the budget we had collected, but we're shorter on the delinquent taxes.
Any discussion? Comments? All right. Let's go to item number 10. Discussion, thank you, Andres. Discussion of possible action items. Item A, discussion of possible action to designate a delegate and an alternate representative to serve on the 2019 TASB Delegate Assembly. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, the Assembly held annually in conjunction with the TASB Convention is a foundation of the Association's governance structures and provides critical direction as the Association represents members' interests before state and national policy makers. At the TASB Convention, delegates and alternates meet with the TASB directors to discuss issues coming from the Assembly and to clarify delegate assembly processes. So what they're asking, Board of Trustees, is, and I'm recommending that you designate a delegate and an alternate representative to serve on the 2019 TASB Delegation Assembly, which is scheduled to meet during the TASB Convention held this fall in Dallas, Texas, and the date is September 20th to 22nd, 2019. So,
Mr. President, I'd like to say that Dr. Rivera did a great job last year. I'd like to nominate him to be our delegate.
I won't be attending the conference, so I'm okay with Dr. Rivera if he'll be attending.
Who else is attending the conference?
Anybody else is going to volunteer to be an alternate? Now, I was an alternate last year,
Yeah, and I did it the year before that.
but unfortunately, this year, I was going to go to the conference, but there were a couple of changes, so I won't be able to attend. If not, I would be the alternate.
You attending?
Coach Crowdy would be good for you. But
Alternate?
you're not going
I
to.
have other personal,
I'd like to nominate Patrick
Kennedy?
Kennedy as an alternate.
Well, as long as Dr. Rivera's going, I'm okay. No, I'll be the alternate, that's fine.
Okay, great.
good choice.
All right, so we have Mr. Dr. Rivera and Mr. Kennedy. Then it'll be just, yeah, because last year it was only me. All right, do I have a motion? Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, we have a motion
Second.
by Mr. Andrew Gonzalez, a second by Dr. Jaime, to designate Dr. Rivera as the delegate and Mr. Kennedy as the alternate for the 2019 TASB Delegate Assembly. Any discussion?
You beat me to it.
All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Nobody, right? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you, Patrick.
You're welcome.
Item B, discussion and possible action to endorse a nominated individual from another school board within our TASB district to fill a position on the TASB Board of Directors. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I recommend that you consider endorsing a nominated individual from our TASB district to fill a position on the TASB Board of Directors, Position A. If the board elects not to endorse an individual, no action is required. The position is currently held by Mrs. Yolanda Cuellar from South Texas ISD. She is seeking re-election. School boards were invited to nominate candidates from the local school board prior to July 1st, 2019. You have a list of candidates nominated and who complied with the bylaws requirements. Philip Cowan from Brownsville ISD, Yolanda Cuellar, South Texas ISD, and Oscar Riojas, Mercedes ISD.
Do I have a motion?
To nominate?
To endorse?
Endorse.
I'll make a motion to endorse number 3, Mr. Oscar Rojas out of Mercedes ISD.
Sure.
You can amend that and make him our delegate at the TASB. I'll second
say-
that.
You got it.
I'll say, so we have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Kennedy to endorse Mr. Oscar Rojas to fill the position on TASB Board of Directors. Any discussion?
I make a motion to endorse Yolanda Cuellar for the position.
Well, Mr. Attorney?
Sure, on a motion, you can't make a separate motion
Okay.
until unless the motion fails.
Right.
Okay.
So right now, when we vote?
Sure.
Okay. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Andrew Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Kennedy to nominate Mr. Oscar Rojas to fill the position of the TASB Board of Directors. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Congratulations, Mr. Oscar Rojas.
Congratulations, Coach. Good luck to you.
All right, item C, discussion and possible action for the board to approve the memorandum of understanding between Wesco Independent School District and the Hidalgo County Juvenile Probation Department for the 2019-20 and 2021 school years. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, we are requesting your approval to partner with the Hidalgo County Juvenile Probation Department to coordinate educational services to juveniles assigned to the facility. The facility serves a maximum population of 40 nonviolent at-risk males between the ages of 13 and 17 years old. Our staff is, in addition to staff assigned there, other staff members are very actively involved. They invite us to graduations, all kinds of events. It's a program to serve some of the most at-risk students that are assigned from Weslaco and across Hidalgo County. So we move that you approve the agreement with Hidalgo County Juvenile Probation Department.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the memorandum of understanding between Weslaco ISD and the Hidalgo County Juvenile Probation Department for 1920 and 2021. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item D, discussion and possible action to approve the optional flexible school day program for the 2019-20 school year. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I'm recommending that you approve the optional flexible school day program for this upcoming school year for students who are at risk of dropping out of high school, and to provide additional support for at-risk students in elementary and middle schools who struggle with truancy. We had the public hearing earlier, as is required, and we move for your approval.
So move.
Second.
So we have a motion by Mr. Gonzalez and a second by Mr. Kennedy to approve the optional school day program, flexible school day program for the 2019-20 school year. Any discussion?
Yes, again, Ms. Brewer, Dr. Cantu, I know the numbers you gave us roughly were 900, about 900, maybe 1,000 students, close to 1,000 students. So again, I know the ADA accounted almost 100 in ADA, which was equivalent to about a 750,000, more or less. Again, great job, honestly, great job, and thank you for all your efforts.
Any other discussion or comments? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item E, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of proposal award for pharmacy benefit management, PBM services for the district self-funded employee benefit program, RFP number 190738. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, in June, you took action to solicit proposals for pharmacy benefit management, PBM services. The request for proposal specifications called for a total transparent model. A truly transparent PBM must not only fully disclose its various revenue streams, but also pass through all of the discounts, rebates, acquisition costs, and administrative fees while allowing the client the ability to audit and/or review the applicable contracts, invoices, and other agreements to validate and confirm the various components of the transparent relationship. A total of 3 proposals were submitted. All 3 proposals were evaluated by Risk Management and Valley Risk Consulting, VRC, and our district employee benefit consultants. The incumbent, Araya RX, did not submit a proposal. So I'm recommending, after all this information, that you approve Prime Therapeutics, VCBS, to provide PBM services for the district's self-funded employee benefit program, subject to contract review by attorney and risk management.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Mr. Kennedy to approve proposed award for pharmacy benefit management services for the district self-funded employee benefit program. Any other discussion?
Yeah, Mike, can you come to the mic?
It's Mr. Garza, Mr. Garza.
So I know everything had to be transparent because, you reiterated it again. But as far as like administrative fees, the price of medications, prior auths, like that doesn't change. There's no back-end fees. This, what we get is what we pay,
That's correct.
what they provided for us.
That's correct.
Okay. And that's
That's what we interpreted on the proposal, yes.
on the proposal? Okay.
That's what they stated.
Discount cards that, all of that's part of this?
Not discount cards, there's not a need for them since we we already pay for the prescription, so no, not a discount card, no, sir.
Okay.
This is Blue Cross Blue Shield, is that right?
That's correct. It's their division is called Prime Therapeutics.
Oh, so Prime is a subsidiary of Blue Cross?
That's correct.
Okay.
Mike,
I was
can you,
kind of confused about that.
can you explain on the three proposals, the annual total, Express Scripts was a lower bid. What went wrong there? What's the difference there?
I'll let
We get
Mr. Garza come up and address that, but yeah, there were some issues with
That one?
President Nieto and Dr. Canales and members of the Board of Trustees, yes, we evaluated the proposals, and you asked a question regarding Express Scripts, one of the largest PBMs in the country. Express Scripts had a lot of layered compensation, if you will. In their proposal, they stated that they were going to be compensating $1.75 per script to a third-party, fourth-party non-participant. So we felt that it didn't meet the district's guidelines, but we wanted full transparency. We didn't want to have to pay any compensation to third and fourth parties. So we felt that it was going to increase the district's overall cost rather than reduce its cost.
Another question, Mr. Garza. I know this issue's come up in the past, with the number of proposals that we're getting. Again, 3 proposals. Is that concerning? Do you usually see more proposals when these go out for bid?
Actually, you make a very interesting, valid point. We did contact approximately 60 PBMs across the country and sent out a message for them to download the PBM RFP here at the district. Unfortunately, what happens is you've had 3 PBMs in the last 3 years. So a lot of the PBMs make their money in the second and third year, not the first year. So there's either a break-even point in the first year, basically when they're trying to bring you in, and then really they make the monies on the second and third year. When we ask for transparency in these proposals, a lot of the PBMs don't want to participate because, quite frankly, they have a huge spread in the price of drugs. So they rather just keep their captive contracts and not disclose it. But even though some of them still submit, but we have to go through that bundle of information so that we can get down to the top 3 or 4 qualified proposals. But I understand, and I'm concerned as well, but hopefully in the future, once we start, but that's why we recommended a 2 or 3 year agreement so that we can actually create some stability in the program.
So you think the way we put out that RFP, it's the transparency that, and the fact that we're changing year after year, that's kind of keeping them from submitting?
I would say the fact that we've had 2 PBMs in 2 years is probably raises concerns, because it really, the distributors are only 3 major distributors, and there's probably about 1,100 PBMs in the country, and they get their costs and their services from those 3 pharmas, if you will. So asking them to resubmit again is just basically, they don't want to disclose their prices, that's what they want to do.
Mike, Oriya, I know it was a flat renewal, and then we went out, we had a change and it went out. What was their price?
In the original, I
And
couldn't
Their
compare the
renewal
original.
price. What
It
was
was-
their renewal price?
The renewal price, I believe, was $1.50 admin fee. It was $1.50. It had no transaction fee. but
Total
it was
amount? Do we have that amount?
I looked at it, they're very, very similar. As far, I think Araya, Blue Cross is charging an admin fee, or Prime Therapeutics is charging an admin fee per employee per month versus a transaction fee. So Araya it was $1.50 per transaction that they were charging. And I think there was just some slight differences on what they were disclosing, their average wholesale cost discounts to. I think it was maybe, they were within about a half a point to a point from each other, so they're very close.
Okay, and then I know we have agents the last time. Does this automatically go with them?
No, sir.
No?
No.
Okay. And then my last question is, when was there an audit done on our PBM? When is the last time a true audit was done? Because I know, I've spoken to a few board members, because, again, every year we're changing, and we're only getting 2 players at the table to give us an offer. And so I'd like to know, when was the last time we had a true audit done, outside audit?
I'd have to double check on that because I believe that the company we hired to audit the prior the prior TPA also audited the pharmaceutical, the PBM
Okay,
also.
maybe if you can just get it in the update.
We can put in the update.
Please, and then maybe Dr. Canales, going forward towards the end of next year, let's have an audit done on our PBM to see if we can get more companies to at least, bid our district.
We can do that, yes, sir.
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez, correct? And a second by Mr. Kennedy to approve the award for pharmacy benefit management PBM services for the district self-funded employee benefit program, RFP 190738. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item F, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of proposal award for student athletic and accident insurance, RFP number 190739. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, our district purchases insurance to cover students in the event of an injury while participating in UIL sanctioned activities. This is not true for all districts in the state of Texas. The district plans provides for 100% of benefits at no cost to the athlete or their parents if provided through the Lone Star Athletic Network. So the district, we have conducted an RFP process for this insurance. A total of 5 proposals were submitted. The proposals from Student Assurance Services offered the most advantageous premium with no charge to benefits. There is a breakdown on an attachment, and you have a table in front of you. So we are recommending that you approve the proposal from Student Assurance Services, Texas UNC plan, underwritten by National Life Insurance in Zurich through Texas Insurance Service Center, the brokerage store, for the 2019-2020 academic school year. The plan that we're recommending is proposal 4. It is, as you asked last year, the high plan, or I think one of you used the term Cadillac plan last year, that would provide support for our students in a case of injury who are involved in activities.
How does this differ from the current plan?
It's almost identical to the current plan.
What's the difference if it's not?
I'm going to say they're pretty much identical coverage.
Who is the provider this year, for this year's?
It was Catlin Insurance Company, student insurance plans. They're listed under current.
Oh, okay, I see current. And who is the one from the year before that?
It's the company that we're recommending.
Okay.
And what's the difference between proposal 4 and 5?
Basically, proposal 4, proposal 5, it's with the same company, however, it doesn't pay out as well. So the benefits aren't as good as the Cadillac plan we have. So you can say Chevy versus Cadillac in a nutshell.
And with this particular company, I guess student athletes or parents won't be paying any deductible or anything there?
If a student has a personal or private health insurance, that is primary.
Correct.
This is secondary, or if the student has no coverage, then this is primary for these events.
And that's a good point there. If they don't have insurance, then they'll be primary.
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
I'll move to accept the district's proposal.
I second.
All right. So we have a motion by Mr. Kennedy, a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the proposal award for student athletic and accident insurance. Any other discussion?
Well, quick, Mike, on the provider network, is that pretty much the same?
It's not the same, but it's comparable. So the major players are there. So all the hospitals are there.
What about our local orthopedic
Oh, yes, sir.
surgeons? They're
Yes,
on
sir.
there as well.
Physical therapy also?
We had this company, like I said, we had them year before last for the past 3 years, and I don't think Coach had any major issues with them. Coach handles the day-to-day issues with this insurance.
As long as y'all defend it, I mean, that's great. There's savings there, so.
Yeah, it's almost a $50,000 savings.
For the same type of benefits?
Yes.
Any discussion on this side? Athletic insurance? Nope. All right. We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the proposal award for student athletic and accident insurance. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item G, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of proposal award for fleet, auto liability and physical damage, general liability, crime and law enforcement insurance, RFP number 190740. Dr. Canales.
Mr. President, I'm going to abstain from letters G, H, and I.
G, H, and I.
We did.
Okay.
We're going to pull I. We're going to
And
pull I.
I've submitted paperwork previously, so.
Okay. All right, Dr. Canales.
Okay, Board of Trustees, our district does carry general liability, law enforcement, crime and fleet insurance with Travelers, Texas Public Entity Group. We did conduct an RFP for the insurance package, and only one proposal was received from the current carrier and agency. I'm recommending that you approve the proposal from Travelers Insurance as submitted by Shepherd Walton King Insurance Group, SWK, for fleet insurance, auto liability, general liability, crime, law enforcement insurance, and Alliant Insurance as submitted by SWK for fleet physical damage. And Mr. Larissa is here to answer any questions you may have.
Question, same thing here, one proposal?
Yes, sir. I can only speculate, but we had
Why speculate?
Yeah, well, we had a $5 million hit last year, so, there's not very many.
Staying away.
So they raised our premium about $60,000?
That's correct. The auto, the fleet, which is the key component in this, it's broken down into two separate lines of coverage. So you have your auto liability. That stayed the same with Travelers. And let me see, I have their premium there. Yeah, it is a slight increase because last year we paid $170,000 for both for the auto liability and the comprehensive damage. So this year Travelers submitted the liability only at $170,000, and the other company, which is Alliant, they're going to cover the comprehensive portion of it. And their A-rated companies are very good. So it was, we were fortunate to get that other option from the agent that submitted, because Travelers was only going to assume $2.5 million in liability, and then we would have to get an excess carrier to pick up the other $2.5 million, and that premium alone was going to be well over $100,000.
So if we approve this tonight, are we prepared in the budget to absorb the increased premiums?
Yes, we knew that we were going to get an increase. In fact, I was expecting it to be a lot worse than this. So they did account for it for next year's budget.
Okay.
It's a lot better than I thought.
Yes, sir, it is.
We were worried.
I'll make a motion to approve.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez. Do I have a second?
A second.
We have a second by Coach Cuellar. To approve the proposal award for fleet, auto liability and physical damage, general liability, crime and law enforcement insurance, proposal 190740. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item H, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of proposal award for workman compensation, third-party administrative service, TPA, and workers' compensation excess insurance, RFP 190741. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I'm recommending that you approve the proposal from TriStar Risk Management to provide workers' compensation third-party administrative services and the proposal from U.S. Specialty Underwriters as submitted by Shepherd Walter King Insurance Group to provide excess insurance and authorize administration to enter negotiations with TriStar regarding ancillary services.
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the proposal award for worksman comp third-party administrative services and worksman compensation excess insurance. Any other discussion?
Has the premium gone down on the workers' comp?
For the excess, Mr. Kennedy, or the TPA services?
The TPA services.
It's TPA services stayed about the same. What did fluctuate a little bit were the fees they charge for ancillary services like the bill review, the case review. That's where they make about half of their revenue. So
Okay.
there's certain things that they included in here, but we're going to go back to them and try to get a better deal on those fees.
Okay. You feel comfortable with it?
Any other discussion? All right, we have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Mr. Cuellar. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item I.
We are pulling item I.
Oh, yes. Yes, we're still pending renewal numbers on that, so yes, with the board's permission, we'd like to pull that item.
Okay,
Do we need to take action on that?
they're pulling, do we have,
You don't have to take action on it.
no.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Coach Cuellar, you want to call Mr. Gonzalez? We're finished with the three. Yeah, please. Welcome back, Mr. Gonzalez. Item J, discussion and possible action for the board to consider renewal of the district's voluntary insurance products or to authorize administration to solicit proposals for the same. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, in 2016, our district solicited proposals through the RFP process for 7 voluntary products. Those are accident, cancer, critical illness, disability, hospital indemnity, term life, and vision insurance. As set forth in the RFP, the district requests proposals for 1 year with the option to renew for 2 additional 1-year terms and a minimum of 2-year rate guarantee where applicable. This was the 3rd year of 3 years for renewal option. We are recommending that you approve renewal of all 7 voluntary insurance products for the 3rd year of the 3-year renewal option. My tongue's getting twisted.
That's a lot of year
I know,
renewal.
my tongue's getting twisted.
So what, are the rates like guaranteed like last year?
Yes, Mr. Kennedy, there's no change to the rates or benefits.
Okay, and the district is recommending renewal?
Yes.
I'll move to approve the district's recommendation.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy and a second by Mr. Lopez to approve the district's voluntary insurance products. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item K, discussion and possible action for the board to consider amending the district health benefit program employer and employee contribution. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, as presented in the budget workshop and as we're aware, the cost of healthcare has risen dramatically over the past several years. Last year, the district adjusted employer and employee contributions to fund approximately $17 million for the 2018-2019 plan year. The anticipated cost of the 2018-29 plan year is approximately $18.3 million. Next year, Blue Cross Blue Shield is projecting medical claims to be approximately $12.3 million. As such, contributions need to be adjusted to fund approximately $20 million for the 2019-2020 school year. To reach that goal, the district is proposing to increase its contribution from $45 per employee per month to $582 per employee per month, corresponding to a 20% increase. Employees' contributions would increase by 15% across the board. So we are recommending Board of Trustees 20% and district and 15% employer. Well, employee, let me go back. The 20% employer district and 15% employee increase respectively effective September 1st, 2019. Is that correct?
That's correct.
I'll move to approve.
I second.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Coach Cuellar. For the board to consider amending the district's health benefits program employee and employee contribution, correct? Any other discussion?
I just want to make some comments that we had a workshop earlier and we discussed the increases to our employees. And as much as this board would like to not to have an increase in the cost, with the cost of everything going up, that it's impossible for the district to absorb all the extra monies, And, just want to make sure that Dr. Canales and Andres, for next year, make sure that if there is a need to increase again, that they come forward with a lot of time and let our employees know that there will be some increase. I know that insurance is not a luxury anymore, it's a necessity. So, and if the price is going to be going up or the cost to the employee is going to go up, then they need to know with time so they can plan and prepare for the extra cost. Thank you.
Any other comments?
Mike, just stay on top of it, keep us up on our weekly updates and then, your monthly bulletin, you can always put something in there so that the employees can see the increase in all the health side of things. Again, I'm with Mr. Lopez. I think in the last 3 years that the district has absorbed a hit close to about $300, if not a little bit more, as far as we've increased our contribution to their $28. I know we started from 0, now we're at 28. And so, again, plan. I know we're probably one of the few of the lowest, and I know we have a rich plan, and I think it's a great plan, and I think it's a needed plan. But again, they got to be aware of the district can only go so far.
Yes, sir.
And so as much as we'd like to give the raises and do those things, we may have to cut from there to put back into here, and that's not what we want to do. So again, for all your hard work, thank you. And then just keep us up to date as much as you can, please.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Coach Cuellar to consider amending the district health benefit program employee and employee contribution. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item L, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval of the annual review of the district investment policy. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, policy CDA legal requires you to review the investment policy and strategies not less than annually. Administration has reviewed the policy and has determined that there have been no changes for this year. The board must also adopt a written instrument stating that it has reviewed the investment policy. Board Policy Section CDA Local emphasizes several concerns about district investments, and Mr. Andres Sanchez is here to share those with you.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Canales. As part of our investment policy review, we need to go over the board. I need to go over with the board, what are the intent of the policy, what it is, and what is it that we're doing and what we're recommending. Basically, because of problems that were with investments and governments about almost 20 years ago, they implemented these changes. And one of the things that they want us to emphasize is the safety and of the investments, the management of it. Also the liquidity and maturity and the diversity. And the main goal of the investment program is to ensure the safety and to maximize the financial returns within the current market conditions in accordance with the policy. Everything that we invest is in investment pools, so they are approved investments. We don't have any problems or issues with this. A lot of times when cities, companies, or other governments invest on items like the stock market or certain type of investment that could be dangerous, those put governments in trouble. That's what we have to do an investment report, which you approve one in the consent, a quarterly investment report that we show what we're doing every quarter. And the investments, the market value is higher than the book value as opposed to less. And so as far as safety and investment, we're doing good. Liquidity and maturity, we're earning some good returns on our investment pools. And the maturity, everything's on a daily basis. Sometimes we had an investment of 6 months and did good. No, our policy is no more than a year. And as far as diversity, right now everything's an investment pool, like I said, but we do have 3 different investment pools. One of the things they like you to do if there's a chance, if we have investment in commercial paper, money market accounts, CDs, investment pools, that's what they want you to do in case something goes bad. Not all the money goes bad at the same time. Because investment pools have good rates, and we don't have to tie the money on any length of time. We've been keeping it like that. At the bottom portion of the first page of the agenda item mentioned in the first public investment pool, as of July 23rd, the rates were 2.43%. That is 0.24% higher than last year at the same time. The Texas Term Investment Pool was 2.34, and that is 0.43% higher than last year also. And Tex Pool is at 235, which is also 0.43% higher than last year. As compared to this, the Treasury bills, U.S. Treasury bill, which is a very safe investment instrument, right now, as of July 23rd, or last week, was at 191%, which is 0.34% lower than last year. We checked with the banks, Texas National Bank, our depository bank. We checked with another bank in town, Plains Capital Bank, and the rates on CD that they gave us, Texas National was at 1%, one in 15%, and one in 0.25% for 6, 9, and 12 months, respectively. Plains Capital Bank was at 2.30%, 2.25%, and 2.34%, again for 6, 9, and 12 months. So we're making a little bit more than that, and we don't have to tie the money. While we have the money in the investment pool, we can withdraw it within days' notice.
So it's very liquid.
By wire, we can take it out. If we need to make a big payment in construction, $500,000 or something like that, we just request the money for the next day and we have it available. If we have money for payroll, for example, we get $4 or $5 million, the next day is available. When you have CDs or something else, you got to plan it ahead of time, when they're going to mature and everything else. And if the interest rate was better, we will do it. But right now it's not, so we have everything on pools. We might consider still the CDs in the future. Right now they're about the same rate. As things improve, we'll get back with you so we can have a board workshop to discuss it. That way you can approve us to do it and maybe approve some investment brokers, banks that we can work with. And then whenever we want to invest something like that, we'll bring it out to the board to discuss it. But right now we want to continue with investment pools. So the policy that we have is doing well.
I move to approve the district's investment policy.
Let me say one more thing.
Sure.
Thank you. We're supposed to have investment training, the investment officers, and there's 3 of us, Mr. Jesse Fonseca, Mr. Silvia Esquivel, and myself, and we all have attended training. They're here. Want to stand up in the back? Jesse, Silvia? Or wave so they can see you? We have our trainings every 2 years, and we all have taken it. I'm scheduled to the next training in October, and we're doing well with the investment. So there's a form that you're supposed to sign indicating that we have it. It's an instrument saying that we reviewed it and that it got approved by the board. But thank you.
We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy.
Second.
We have a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the annual review of the district investment policy. Any other discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Thank you.
Motion carries. Thank you, Andres. Item M, discussion and possible action for the board to consider approval to set up a meeting date for a public hearing on the proposed budget and proposed tax rate for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, during the budget workshop, we had this date listed. I'm recommending, along with staff, that you set a meeting date for a public hearing on the proposed budget and tax rate for fiscal year 2019 through 2020 on Monday, August 26, 2019, at 5:30 PM.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve setting up a meeting date, which will be August 26, 2019 at 5:30
At 5:30 PM.
for a public hearing on the proposed budget and proposed tax rate for the fiscal year. Any other discussion?
Doc, are you also planning for a meeting right after the public hearing, or are we just having a public hearing?
Also a meeting. Also a meeting.
We may
Yes,
need
sir.
a-
Well, just don't put everything in that meeting, because it's the first day of school, and I want to make sure that our principals get back to where they got to go. And so, please, do y'all's part as to not keep them here that late.
Yeah, basically, what we need is a couple of items on the budget,
Okay.
related to budget.
So,
At
yeah, it'd be a
3,
special called board meeting. so
All right.
We'll keep it brief. You remind
Yes.
me.
Thank you.
All right, so we have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second by Mr. Gonzalez to approve the August 26, 2019 at 5:30, correct?
Yes,
Dr.
sir.
Canales?
5:30.
All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item N, discussion of possible action for the board to consider approval of pay raises for district employees for the fiscal year 2019-2020. Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, this was also covered during the board workshop, including highlights of the key components of the 2019 legislative session that was passed, and the mandate for compensation to be provided to staff as follows: 30% of total gain in the state funds to be obtained for 2019-2020, comparing the budgeted ADA, that's the average daily attendance, for school year 2019-2020, using the current 2018-2019 funding formulas and the recently approved House Bill 3 formulas. That's what we use to calculate the mandated employee compensation, including gross pay and fringe benefits. And 75% of that 30% will be used for compensation increases for classroom teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses, prioritizing differentiated compensation for classroom teachers with more than 5 years of experience, and the remaining 25% used for compensation increases for full-time employees other than administrators as determined by the district. So during the first budget workshop held on July 1st, 2019, we presented two proposed compensation increases for all district employees for board consideration. Today, we proposed a third one that includes 4 tiers for the teacher, counselor, librarian, and nurses group. So we're recommending that the Board of Trustees consider approval of pay raises for all district employees to be included in the budget for the fiscal year 2019-2020 for every employee of the district, including compensation mandated and funded by the State of Texas 86th Legislature, approval of House Bill 3. These recommended pay increases were discussed with you during the budget workshop held prior to this meeting. Recommended pay raises are shown on page 2. So on page 2, we do have 4 groups of pay, again, for teachers, librarians, counselors, and nurses. Increase the difference between each of the groups above, and we increase the recommended pay for administrators. So for classroom teachers, the total was approximately $5.1 million. For paraprofessional, manual trades, and technical trade staff, approximately $2.1 million. And for administrators, $783,947 for total raises for all district staff of, that's not right, $8 million.
86.
$8 million, there it is, I see it.
So do you want to present the breakdown of what each category?
We can for the categories for the 4 tiers. For,
Proposal 2, correct?
this is the third, it's option
Proposal 3.
The one with 4 tiers?
Yes.
The one with 4
At the top of
tiers.
sec- at the top of page
34,
2.
36, 38, and 4,000?
Right.
Right.
Yes, sir.
I like everything. I still feel, I know that we had a workshop earlier. I still feel that our administrators should get 5%. Dr. Canales, you said it's $180,000 approximately?
Approximately, about 189,000 for 1% increase for administrators.
I think that is a good investment in
It's
our kids.
196.
How
I
much?
checked it,
Oh,
196,000.
we checked it, we have an update, 196,000
196,000.
You know,
for 1%
in going
increase.
to our conferences, we learned that, the teachers are able to influence a child's grade by about 30%, and principals are at about the same, a 30% increase or decrease in their grades. I feel that our teachers are getting a good raise. Everybody's getting a good raise, and I still feel, and I'm asking this board to go with a 5% in lieu of the 4% on the administrators.
Andres,
Yes, sir.
can we do it?
Yes, sir.
Do the motion with amended,
I'm going to make a
Proposal.
motion to approve the 4 tiers, which is at 3,400, 1 to 5 years, 3,600, 6 to 12 years, 3,800, 13 to 19 years, and then 4,000 for those teachers that have been with us 20 years or longer. The counselors, I believe, compensation would be adjusted for their long-term contract. That's another, I'll read that, and then
the 7%.
7% from the midpoint for the employee categories, pay ranges, pay raises. This information will be provided to the board, which I guess you already did.
Right.
And then 5% for the administrators.
And Mr. Lopez, we do also have in the board workshop, counselors have more days, and so do some CTE teachers.
Yes.
Yes, and they'll be getting more money for that.
Can we
And
second
just to
that?
clarify again, the years of experience is total years.
Total experience
Any-
as
at any
teachers or
district.
counselors, yes, sir.
I will second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the pay raises for the district as mentioned by Dr. Canales and Mr. Lopez. Any other discussion? On my left, Mr. Kennedy?
No discussion.
Now, that includes that 5% for the
Correct.
administration?
Correct.
That's what I second.
Dr. Jaime?
Now, real quick, now on the certified tax for
Property values?
property values.
Yes, sir.
We don't have a number on that yet, correct?
Right.
So, like last year, I think it came out lower than the anticipated.
Yes. Yes, with the formula that we have, we don't know what the amount's gonna be, but when the tax revenues go down, the state increases the amount they send us. So that will make up one way or the other one, pretty much. Just that we don't have the exact number, what local and what state.
But we are expecting a little bit less next year.
Yes, the next year we're supposed to get less money overall from the state, but it should be close, about $1 million or so less compared to this year.
Mr. Gonzalez?
No, I'm fine.
Fine?
I think everybody deserves what we're proposing. I think our administrators do a fine, excellent job. They're the leaders at the campus, and should be, everybody should get what they deserve, and so I'm okay with the proposed motion.
And again, with additional monies comes additional expectations, additional goals.
Yep.
And you all have met it, Dr. Canales, you and your team, and of course, the administration, principals, over the last 3 years. Every year, every school has improved. And this year, more than not, no Cs overall. So that's a compliment to you and your staff. And I think it's well-deserved the pay increases for everybody, including paraprofessionals and, of course, the teachers that are in the trenches all the time, and, of course, the principals that are there to provide that morale-building culture at each respective school. All right, so we have a motion by Mr. Lopez and a second by Coach Cuellar to approve the pay raises. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, good job, Andres. Anything you want to say, Dr. Canales?
No, just thank you very much, Board of Trustees. We have a wonderful Weslaco ISD family in our district. Everybody's 100% committed. We're going to continue to make sure our students are known, valued, and inspired, and that our district definitely is on top of everything that we do. We offer the complete educational program. We're all about it, 100% in it, and we thank you for your leadership and your commitment and your belief, not only in our students and our staff, but our community. Your work means a lot to us, your support, so thank you very much on behalf of staff.
Even though Dr. Rivera wasn't here, he was part of the plan. Actually, we met with Dr. Rivera, Dr. Canales, and myself, and he actually was in proposal, the 4 categories, and to make sure that everybody received the well-deserved raise. Even though he's not here, he couldn't be here, but he was part of the process. All right, the board will now go into a closed meeting to discuss employment of personnel. 1, resignations. Deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. A, superintendent's recommendation for the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability. B, consultation with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer. A, matter in which the duty of the attorney to the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of professional conduct at State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. It is 7:58, and we will go into executive session.
Thank you.
We're back from executive session. It is 8:50, and the Board of Trustees is now continuing with its open meeting. A, personal matters, employment of personnel, Dr. Canales.
Board of Trustees, I move that you approve the employment of personnel as discussed in closed session.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion by Dr. Jaime and a second to approve employment of personnel as discussed in executive session. Any discussion? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Resignations?
Yes, we have an action on this one. I move that you approve resignations as discussed in closed session.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Kennedy and a second by Dr. Jaime or Mr. Gonzalez to approve the resignations as discussed in the executive session. Any discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Item 3, deliberation regarding the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer for employment. A, superintendent's recommendation for the position of Director of Assessment and Accountability.
Board of Trustees, we're pulling this. We don't have a recommendation at this point. We're still in the interview process.
Okay, so no action. B, consultation with attorney regarding pending or contemplated litigation, settlement offer, or matter in which the duty of the attorney of the Weslaco ISD under the Texas disciplinary rules of the professional conduct of the State Bar of Texas clearly conflicts with Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Dr. Canales.
There's
no
no
action.
action required on this item.
Okay. Adjournment.
So moved.
Well, I guess we'll see you next week, right?
That's right. Seems like we're for every week.
8:52.
We don't see each other all July, and now it's like August.